our number one goal is to stop the scroll. That's the first thing you have to do. If you don't do that, then nothing else matters.
Most Amazon listings are losing money. And the worst part, sellers don't even know it. You can have great photos, awesome copy, and positive reviews and still not convert. And here's the reason. In this episode, we expose why most listings are failing in 2025, how AI is reshaping content strategy, and the one technique that tripled sales for brands you definitely have seen. If your listing isn't evolving, neither are your profits. Our guest today is the founder of mindfulgoods.co, the go-to creative studio for Amazon brands. As a featured speaker at Amazon Accelerate 2024, she's a leading expert in Amazon optimization and supports hundreds of e-commerce brands to double, even triple their sales on Amazon with creative content that converts. So today, our guest and a special friend of mine, Daniela Bolzman. So we'll get to her in a second, but first let's have a word from our sponsor. Are you spending more on Amazon ads and getting less return? There's a smarter way to grow and without increasing your budget. Levanta's Affiliate Shift Calculator shows what you could do if you really allocate just a portion of your ad spend into affiliate marketing. If you're an Amazon seller doing over $5 million a year, this is for you. And guess what? It's free. All you have to do is click on the link in the description to go to your custom forecast today. Grab a cup of coffee and let's find out where Daniela is. There she is.
I got my coffee. I'm ready.
All right. I got mine too. There we go. All right. So the topic today is about the always changing Amazon landscape. Let's get into it. How is that changing in 2025?
So 2025, I think with the biggest buzz, there's two big buzzes that are happening right now. One is with Rufus, the other one is with AI. And so what we're learning from Rufus is exactly how people are searching our listings and what kind of questions that they have, which is giving us more intel, right? It's giving us ways that we can improve the quality of our listings, which is amazing. I do think it's going to go even further than that. I think we're on Rufus, I wouldn't say 1.0. I think we're on 1.5. Rufus is definitely smarter than it was last year, and likely going to be smarter. I think the teams at Amazon are learning new ways that they can now use Rufus and incorporate it into other areas of our dashboard. So my hope is that that's going to be coming down the pipeline. But then if we look at AI imagery, I think that's the other place that everybody's really excited about. I'm actually looking at a few different things for AI imagery. AI is giving us the ability to kind of fill in the gaps with AI imagery. And we're trying not to use it, as an all-encompassing tool for any listing. It's like when you see a listing that's 100% renders, something about it just feels off. We like to have a really well blended mix of having high quality photography mixed in some AI where you need it. So we kind of take that approach. But then on the back end, where I'm really excited about AI technology is for brands that have these very large catalogs of, let's say, hundreds and thousands of SKUs, tens of thousands of SKUs even. We've never been able to service them, even though we've had plenty of them come to us and say, hey, can you please redo our listings? We are so fine-tuned and such high quality output that we would have been working on those accounts for years, so we've typically not been able to service those types of brands. And now with AI, we're able to train AI on exactly how to do the creative from our perspective and roll out our designs across tens of thousands of ASINs if we wanted to. So that's what I'm really excited about coming in 2025.
When you're talking about tens of thousands of SKUs, is this beneficial not only for the private label seller, but also for wholesale sellers?
So we're typically dealing with very branded content. So very branded brands who have like a very branded aesthetic, right? That's when we're looking at putting out high quality output, that's what we're looking at. And I can say now that we have this ability, we could do the same thing for brands that are doing private label or other things. We just haven't in the past because our specific expertise is on lifting sales for brands that are more of that direct to consumer style brand. But absolutely, with this technology now we can. So it is very interesting.
Oh, great. Let's go back to the Rufus side of things for a second. So it's coming up with all these questions or answering all these questions. Would it be worth, because I was one of those when I was managing brands, still do, but when I was doing it, I would go and put as many questions as possible into the listing and get people to answer them. Is it worth going out to Google and going to people also ask and just drill down on all those questions and kind of feed them in? Is it possible to do that? And should we do that?
I think there's ways to go about it where absolutely that's an excellent approach. One of the things that I preach is when you're pulling in all the data to start understanding what it is that people are wanting and how do you address those questions, there's usually going to be 5 top selling points that you really need to hit home on that are going to be that mental checklist of what the customer needs to know and what they're wondering about your product. Maximum 10, right? Like it's really a fine-tuned list. Most 80% of it's going to be in those top 5. One of the ways that I like to pull in those questions is using either like a PikFu poll or a ProductPinion poll. You're able to drop your listing link and ask as many shoppers as you want, even within your specific niche. So if you have a pet product, you could say people who own, at least 2 dogs or something like that. You could do that. You could ask, let's say 50 shoppers, what is missing from my listing? And just doing that, you're going to get so many people that just say, I don't see this. I was wondering this. Where is this? You can take all of that quantitative and qualitative feedback and try to figure out what are those top questions, right? So now we can do that there, and we can do it in Rufus by going to our competitors' listings and seeing which questions rise to the surface on Rufus, and then also going to our listing and seeing which questions are rising to the surface, and then prompting Rufus a little bit more to see if there's anything else we can dig up. So if we combine all of that data together, it's going to give you a much more data-driven approach that gives you more assurance that you're going to be nailing exactly what you need to on your imagery.
So is there anything else that we can do with Rufus that will help optimize the listing?
Well, one of the biggest things, here's the other hot take on this, right?
Okay.
If you were doing, and this is something that I heard from another e-com expert, which I'm like, it just stuck in my brain. I was like, you're right. So we have been incorporating Rufus Insights since we had the ability to, right? But if you were doing a proper listing optimization process from day one, Rufus shouldn't be telling you anything that you don't already know. There should be maybe 1 or 2 takeaways that you're getting or things that you're checking over time. But one of the things that you should be looking at is checking to see if Rufus is answering your questions for your customers visually. And so what I mean by this is when you ask a question inside of Rufus, is it then giving you a response back that shows an image, right? Because that's basically a way that you can make sure that Rufus is giving customers the proper response and giving them something that's easier to digest, right? It's kind of Rufus saying like, yeah, actually right here in the listing, it shows you on this image that it does actually have anti-aging benefits, right? So that's one thing that you want to be checking and making sure that Rufus is able to interpret your images correctly and then serve them up in the responses to your customers.
Are you still guessing what Amazon images work? Daniela Bolzman breaks down her exact process for split testing main images that convert. It always interests me about the images and making sure that the primary image is the best. And I think we should also talk about split testing. So how do we go about making sure that it's the best image, and how do we go about split testing? What should we be looking for?
First things first, it's pulling all that data in the beginning is super crucial, right? Because we need to understand what are the things that are moving the needle with our avatar of our customer. Once you have that, every single time you do any kind of test, we want to be referring back to that data set. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when we're designing creatives, what tends to happen in our industry is that designers are designing in a silo. And when you do that, you're designing what you think is best and without using any sort of check and balance or any sort of split testing. And then you put something to market live that you don't really know if it's going to hit with your avatar, right? And so one of the things that you can do in that mid-step process before anything goes into Amazon experiments or before anything goes live on Amazon is you can test on a third-party tool like ProductPinion, PikFu, Intelvy. They're all great. Pick one. And you can actually test your content. So for instance, if you're doing your main images, we absolutely test our main images every single time before they go live on Amazon. We test them on PikFu. Like without a doubt, with every single client, it has to happen. Because there's a lot of times where you'll design 6 different images, 6 completely different concepts, right? And you're like, oh, I personally think I like this one the best, right? And Norm, you might pick another one and be like, I like that one the best. We might both be wrong. We might both be absolutely wrong on the one that's going to be the winner. So oftentimes when brands come to me and they're like, what do you think of my imagery? How can we make this better? I have to caveat and say, my opinion, I'm not going to say it means nothing because I work with brands every single day and look at their listings, but my opinion is just that. It's an opinion. And you have to really look at the data to understand what is going to move the needle. And we have to test, right? That's why there's no guarantees in this. Like we know a process that works for our clients. Over 80% of our clients see anywhere from 20 to 2,500% increases in sales, but that's not a guarantee that 100% are ever going to get there. So it really goes back to this process of split testing in the middle. And once you do the split test, it's going to tell you, actually, this one is the one that you should try first on Manage Your Experiments. Or you might decide that there's actually data within that test that you need to revise your images even further. So there's been a number of times where we thought we had winning images. We run them in a PikFu poll, and then we actually have those customers point out something that we didn't even realize, that we didn't address on that main image. We have to go back, adjust the image one more time, and then use that image in the final. And then we see it even more of a lift after we make that change. So that's the other takeaway, is just because you run one test and you get a winner, it doesn't stop there. You should be continually testing throughout the year. Come up with a winner, then come up with another winner. Try to beat your winner throughout the course of the year, whether it's in your main images, your product image stack, your A+ content. You can be testing, and your titles. You could be testing these things, all of these variables throughout the year, and you should be doing one major overhaul or one major refresh every year.
And you can do that right within Amazon too, split test.
Yeah.
So you get your 2 from whatever platform that you're going to, ProductPinion or PikFu, then you can take those, put them in. But if you have alternative images that you create throughout the year, you can check those out, then rotate them back into the into the listing. I went through school for film and photography, and just understanding the lens, just the lens, or if it's up, or if it's down, or if it's straight on. Simple things can change an image dramatically. And one of the things, I don't know if you've heard this, but I get this sometimes when we're trying to improve or optimize a listing, coming down to the images. Images sell, but people who don't want to spend money, it's almost like the people that don't want to spend money on the inspections over in China until their container comes over and everything's ruined, which has happened to me, by the way, by accident. But it costs money.
It's super common. And I think it's because right now the conversation online is really dominated by ads. It's like drive traffic, drive traffic, drive traffic, drive traffic. But what if you're wasting ad spend? What if your conversion rate's not there? What if you plateau and you're just throwing money away, right? These are all scenarios where we have to come back to the table and look at the foundational content on the listing. Is your SEO up to par? Are your creatives refreshed? Like, these are things that we have to be looking at on an annual basis at the very minimum to make sure that you're not losing your market share.
I'm just kind of curious. You don't have to answer this, but do you go sometimes outside of the terms? Like, let's say it's a supplement, and then you have this splash of water going behind it, or it might be a holiday and there might be a ribbon on top of it. Do you ever use any of those techniques?
100%. 100%. And I will say that there's definitely a gray area. I wouldn't say it's against terms of service. I would look at it like this. Amazon is in favor of aiding the shopper in their buying experience. It's something that Shannon Roddy told me a while back, and I just latched onto that because I was like, you're right. For Amazon, it's all about the customer experience. So if I'm a mom and I'm in a hurry and I'm like, I just need to get that snack pack for my kids, whatever, and I get to the search results and I see a bunch of snacks that just have like just the individual bags. And I remember, I'm a mom, my kid's crying in the back seat. I gotta get the kid out of the car seat, but I gotta just get this so I know that the lunches are taken care of for this week. And I'm like, I got a million things going on. I'm looking at those search results and I'm like, I just need the one that says 30 pack variety pack. What's the best way to do that? Slap a circular badge on there, say 30 pack, variety pack, big letters. Could you read that if they didn't do that? Could you read it from mobile? Probably not, And so those are the things where you're aiding the shopper in that buying experience. They see it really quick. They go, boom, that's what I'm looking for. Click, buy, done. Right. And so those are those tiny little things that we change that really do enhance the shopping experience. They help people find what they need quicker. If I'm searching for, let's say, a supplement, and I want the one that's in the capsules, not the powder, right? But sometimes supplement bottles, they just put the bottle on there or the packaging on there. And how do you know if it's a capsule or a powder? What's the best way? Show the customer on the screen right in front of your packaging, the little capsules or the little pile of powder with the little scooper, like that's something like visually, I got it. I'm like, boom, that's the powder. Click on it. So it's these little things that they're actually aiding in the buying experience. They're not hindering. And so I think where it gets tricky is when you do things that are misleading. Right. And so there's a number of brands that have kind of broken the rules. They've done things that are absolutely wrong. They're misleading. They might be showing all these things in the image that the customer doesn't actually get. But even when it comes down to like flavor profiles, like this one is a strawberry flavor and I'm showing some strawberries. So obviously as a shopper, I don't think I'm going to get my strawberry flavored protein powder and it's going to come with a basket of fresh strawberries. Right. But showing visually that it's strawberry flavored with a strawberry, that I don't see anything wrong with that.
All right. So a couple of other creative approaches, and was wondering if you're kosher with this as well. Let's stick supplements because this is a perfect example. On a supplement
we
bottle,
love supplements.
Yeah. If you put the bottle down, usually the label only, you start to see the wraparound of the nutritional facts and then the directions. So one of the things that I do, and I'm just wondering what your opinion is, I manipulate the label. So I make it where you tick off all that crap. You can see it. Maybe the logo is a bit bigger. The necessary information is on the bottle, and you wipe out all the other stuff so people can see it, especially like you said, on mobile. You can see it. It's a cleaner image. Is that something, again, that you would advise?
100%. Also, I'll give you some more. Layer on some of the main ingredients, especially if you have a blended supplement. So something that has like, I don't know how to pronounce it, but riodola or rhodolia with ashwagandha and this and that. Like if it's got all those things in it, somebody might be searching for ashwagandha and might want a blend. In that scenario, you would want to show that right on your main image so that, again, Rufus is reading it and serving it up, right? So thinking through that. Another one I'll give you is if your product has an award, you can actually add like that award badge right on top of the packaging, even just slightly hovering off the packaging. So again, it's catching the eyeballs, catching the clicks, grabbing the attention, right? So these little elements, is it something that John Aspinall always says, like, is it a 30-day supply or is it a 60-day supply? Just tell me, So like sometimes saying 60 capsules on the screen is great, but that doesn't really tell me like how many days supply is that, right? So we can spell it out, slap it right there, right on top of the top of the lid. Like there's all of these different things that, again, like it might not even be one thing. These are all different ideas. There's no bad ideas at this stage. Try all of them out in different ways, in different formats, different angles, different shadows, different I call it eye candy, these little elements that are just all over that main image to reduce as much of that white space as possible and make sure that your product shows up as big and bold in the search results, more so than your competitors.
So let's talk about the slide deck. You got the primary, now they're interested, they click on, and now you've got that slide deck. Mm-hmm. I've seen some really great products suck horribly at their slide deck. They'll put the supplement bottle, they'll put the back of the supplement bottle.
Oh, that's the worst.
And this is another thing that you can split test. But have you found that if there is a better way of laying out, should the lifestyle images maybe come in earlier, or should the features come in after the primary?
Yeah.
Or is it just all split testing? Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment saying I subscribe, and I'll personally reply to your comment.
No. Actually, it's pretty common that the most important image after the main image should be one image that has the top 3 benefits right away. Like right away, that should be your number 2. Okay. Anything after that, you might have to test the order. There's also, if you think about it, there's like 10 to 20 types of images on Amazon that really perform well. So it's just figuring out like in your category, which are the ones that are most prominently performing well, and then making that mix for yourself. And then you can use a tool like Intelvy's product image stack it's a poll that'll basically upload your original stack, you upload any other stacks that you have of product images, and it'll give voters upvotes, downvotes, and it'll tell you which stack of all the stacks you uploaded is the winning stack. And also in that stack, which ones they mostly voted up. So that tells you what order to upload in. And which ones they voted down would tell you, oh, maybe we need to rethink these ones. Mm-hmm. What else can we do to address these ones and make them better?
Yeah. Now, it's the bottom of the hour. Just want to remember or remind people that especially if this is the first time you're listening, we have something at the top of the hour called the Wheel of Kelsey. Now, we'll have the winner from last week at the top of the hour. But if you want to enter for next week, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people. You'll get a second entry. And the prize this week, you don't want to miss out on. Daniela, what is it?
I am actually going to give away something called a mini audit. On our website, it's $300. We're going to give it to one person for free. What that is myself or one of our creative directors. We will look at your listing and we'll record a Loom video top to bottom of all the things we recommend addressing in that priority. So you can take that video, hand it off to your designer and make those improvements and make more cash.
And as you can hear, these slight differences. So most brands have a lot of improvements that they can make. So this is a priceless giveaway. So if you're interested, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. Kelsey, let's have a sponsor. Tired of negative reviews dragging down your star rating and sales? TraceFuse has your back. TraceFuse specializes in removing non-compliant Amazon reviews the right way. I'm talking 100% compliant with Amazon terms of service. And with over 11,000 reviews removed for 400 plus brands, they know what it takes to protect your reputation and boost conversions. And here's the best part. You only pay for performance. That means you only pay for reviews they successfully remove. No contracts, no monthly fees, just results. Plus, as a Lunch with Norm listener, you get 2 reviews removed for free. Ready to clean up your reviews? Visit tracefuse.ai. That's Tracefuse, TRACEFUSE.ai. But let's talk about 4 reasons why people should be using an app or a service like ProductPinion or PikFu.
I think it goes back to, you don't want to be designing in a silo, right? We want to make sure that we are using data throughout our process of designing before we let anything go live on Amazon. Because the last thing you want to do is upload something that you think might work on Amazon and then you destroy your sales, right? So we want every indication that this is going to perform well. And that really is the best tools right now that we can use before we use something like Manage Your Experiments on Amazon, which I also use and I also recommend. But the problem with Manage Your Experiments, if there is one, is that it's very slow. It takes anywhere from like 2 to 12 weeks in some cases to get data back on one test that you're running. And so the quicker way is you can get that data in 1 hour. It's not actual native Amazon data, but it's going to give you a high indication. And we've actually pulled our results from PikFu versus our results from Amazon to see, how many of those brands that we did run those PikFu polls are seeing those results translate on Amazon. It was something like 75%, I think it is what it was, of brands that did run a poll, did see that indication, and then did see that result. So there's a lot of people that will say, like, why waste your time? Like, why waste your money on you doing a third-party testing tool when you can just test it in Amazon? It's about speed, really. At the end of the day, like, we need to get that data and we need to know that we're using data as we're designing so that we can bring something to market that will ultimately resonate with our avatar.
Now, I'm taking for granted that most people know those 2 apps, but for PikFu or ProductPinion, what are some of the differences between the 2?
Well, there's actually 3. I would include Intelvy in there because their testing tools are pretty powerful too. ProductPinion, I would say what makes them pretty different right now is that their team came from selling on Amazon. And so they're really listening to Amazon sellers and building things for the Amazon marketplace. One of the things that they have that makes them a little bit different is they have like a video poll. Let's say you're curious about your listing and you don't want to do my mini audit, for instance. You could drop your listing link to just have 5 people review your listing on a video poll. And I promise you, this will be the most painful thing you ever do as a founder. Listen to the customer talk about your listing and tell you what's missing, what could be better, what they love and hate about it, right? And after listening to all 5, I promise you, there will be some little things in there that you're like, you'll check in with yourself and be like, okay, they're right. Like, you might think like, no, my listing's amazing. It's already doing well. I don't need to touch it. Listen to the customer, and I guarantee you're going to learn something. And then for PikFu side, for me, it's been the most seamless and affordable tool. We've used it for, I would say, at least 6 years now, consistently with every single client project that we work on. It's my go-to for main image split testing. And the reason why I like it is it's very easy. It's a very easy interface. They're both easy, but PikFu specifically has kind of flushed out like the exact process for main image testing. And then they also have within there, they have like an AI analysis. For me, that's just been the tried and true standard for main images specifically. And then on the Intelvy side, the go-to poll for them, what makes them different for me is their image stack poll. Like, nobody else has an image stack poll like them on the market today that gives you the winning, not just the winning stack. I think you can use all 3 tools to figure out the winning stack, or at least ProductPinion has an image stack poll. I don't think PikFu has one yet, but Intelvy has that, and it gives you the upvotes and the downvotes, so that helps you prioritize your image stack. None of these tools have something seamless yet for A+. I'm waiting on that. If they're watching this, I'm sure they're going to come up with something. None of them have something that's pretty seamless for storefront testing, but what you can do in either case is take screenshots of your before and after for your A+, screenshots of your before and after for your storefront, and you could actually upload them as just like a side-by-side split test that way. And that's where you're going to get at least some preliminary data. It's not going to be as like interactive, but it's a way that you can start to get some data for sure.
Did you know most sellers ignore their Amazon image stack? Daniela Bolzman shows how to test and reorder it for maximum impact. What are some of the mistakes that people are doing still with their listing optimization? How can you avoid them?
I mean, the biggest one that we see, because we deal with a lot of brands, a lot of e-commerce brands that have these amazing Shopify websites, right? They have killer content on there. And I just did a mini audit on my YouTube channel for a brand called Poopery. Basically, you go to their website and it's this stunning website where you look at it and you're like, gosh, this is just beautiful, top to bottom. It is possible to do that on Amazon today with premium A+ content and with your storefront on Amazon. You can actually make a beautiful, engaging, seamless landing page style, basically effect on your product page and on your storefront. And so I think a lot of times the biggest mistake that I see is brands that they make that natural progression from Shopify to Amazon, and they just think that they can take what works on their Shopify, drop it into Amazon. And there's a lot of steps in between that go missing, right? Like on Amazon, you have to think about it. You don't have the undivided attention that you do on Shopify. You have a million ads that are being served up on your page right next to your product image carousel and right above and below your A+ content. So every single image has to be showing and telling. It can't just be a pretty flat lay. It can't just be a nice lifestyle image. It has to be text layovered on top, and it has to be done in a way that's also easy for the customer to digest and not overwhelming. So that's the other critical mistake I see, is that brands that try to put all of their information onto their images, and then it's just it's like information overload, and you're never going to read 10 things on one image. It's like one big headline, one subheadline, maybe a few little call outs that are creative, maybe some badges on some of the images, but just keep it simple and make sure you're using premium A+.
Stop uploading pretty images that don't sell. Daniela Bolzman explains how to use premium A+ on your Amazon listing to stop the scroll and increase conversions. Now, you touched on A+. Let's go through that. What are some of the things that we should be looking for in the modern A+? When I got started, I don't think there was And that was, what was it called? Enhanced brand content.
Yeah.
And then, you had some templates you could use. If you take a look at all those, which a lot of people are still using, are their original
Yeah.
enhanced brand content
Yeah, I
pages.
know. I know what you're talking about, and it's actually so cringe. Like
It is.
it's like AOL. It's like the way you look at it, it's like somebody's first website that they ever built, where it's like loaded with a bunch of text and like these stock images that are just really outdated and old looking.
Yeah. And now, you've got, like you said, you can create these incredible, what look like landing pages with A plus premium. So is there anything holding back an Amazon seller from using premium?
If you're on Vendor Central, this is something you still have to pay for or negotiate, because I have heard some brands have negotiated this. But if you're on Seller Central and you have brand registry, you can get access to premium A plus content today, 100%. Like every single brand should be getting access. And we have 50% of brands that come to us still don't have it. They haven't claimed their access to it. They haven't turned it on their account. And let's just go through the recs so that you can unlock this today, because it'll literally take you 5 minutes. You'll have it by next week. So 1, you have to have brand story applied to every ASIN in your account. Okay. And so I think what's holding people back from doing this is they think they have to have this like beautifully designed brand story section. You don't. Just upload a filler image, any kind of lifestyle image as your background image, upload a simple like logo on top of that. Don't overthink it. Just put some filler content in there. You can design it and make it pretty later. That'll fulfill the first requirement from Amazon. So as long as that's applied to every ASIN, that'll fulfill that first requirement. The second requirement has actually changed. It used to be that you had to submit 15 submissions of your A plus content to Amazon and get it approved within 12 months. Okay, so that language is actually really confusing for a lot of brands. They think, oh, I have to have 15 products and I have to submit A plus content on all of them individually. You don't. You don't have to have 15 products. You could have one product. You apply your A plus content. And again, if you don't have it designed, don't worry about designing it. Put in a beautiful lifestyle image into one banner, put some text on it, or just leave it alone. Just think of it as temporary. Then you submit that. And all you have to do is hit duplicate and submit 5 times now is the requirement. It used to be 15, now it's 5. I still recommend, if it doesn't unlock for you, I still recommend doing it at least 15 times, because it's a matter of just sitting there at your computer for 1 minute and going duplicate, submit, duplicate, submit, duplicate, submit, duplicate, submit. Do that 15 times, wait a week, maximum 2 weeks, and every week Amazon crawls your page to unlock it. So as long as you fulfill those 2 requirements, it should be unlocking for every single seller at this point. And let me tell you, this is something that brands previously paid $500,000, $800,000 annual budgets for on their ads to get access to, and Amazon's giving it to every brand for free. So take advantage of it. What we're seeing is that brands are able to increase their sales. I think we've seen a max of 600% from going from basic A plus to premium. So that's the record we're trying to beat right now, is our 600 mark. But
Not a bad record.
not a bad record. Our top record, by the way, is 2,500% increase in sales for like everything on the listing, like a total refresh head to toe. Yeah.
So what are the differences between regular, normal A plus and then the premium?
Yeah. So the basic A plus, first of all, this is you could just go with this one thing and it's worth doing. It's not mobile friendly, right? The original A plus content, the basic A plus content, it just has these big banners. They don't go full screen width. They're not mobile optimized. And so when you look at them on mobile, which 70% of shoppers are shopping on mobile,
Yep.
When you look at them on mobile, a lot of the content is actually really hard to read. So that right there can be a conversion killer for your listing, right? So if we think about just that one thing with premium A plus content, you can have desktop and mobile content sizes that you're uploading. So you can make sure that every viewer is seeing exactly what you want them to see. Beyond that, you can have carousels, you can have a full-length video, and it takes up the full screen. You can have hotspots, so you can explain your product a little more and have it be more engaging. And it has more advanced comparison grid at the bottom, so that you can actually cross-sell with like one click and add to cart. So that's an awesome way to just, increase your average order value on your products and get people buying other products from you. So those factors are huge. We know that Amazon's doing a big push with video. So adding a video to your A plus content can be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's going to be a pattern interrupt. It's not just an image. You see the play, you can hit it, and it's incredible. You don't have to have a Hollywood budget. I mean, it could just be a good quality. And I would stay away from any type of stock images. People want to see real images, real lifestyle photos. Don't have grumpy old men on there. Have them smiling. There's a lot of things that we should do. But here's a big question: carousel or no carousel?
Ooh, this is a hot debate, right?
Yep.
So I'm in the fan or in the favor of carousel, and this is because we've actually done an analysis across our clients to understand which content performs best. And what we noticed is we used a carousel for actually every single client that was on that list, and all of them saw great results. I do recommend doing carousel, and the way that I look at it is everything that a customer should see in those top 5 selling points needs to be the first thing they see, and that's what I consider primary content. Carousel content is what I consider secondary content, educational content, nurturing content, things that people they're not the must knows, but you're, as a brand owner, you're like, no, but we also think they need to know this and this and this. Well, sometimes you don't have enough space on that main homepage, right? And we know that Amazon is tracking all of that data to understand how people are engaging with your content. So if they stay a little bit longer, basically increasing dwell time on your content, that can only favor you in Amazon's eyes, right? They're staying a little bit longer to swipe through your carousel. Why not? I mean, it's a great opportunity. You can use carousels to kind of cross-sell on your other flavors. You could explain your other products. You could explain all the details and information of like setup is a great way to explain things. Like there's things that need a little more explanation, or that you could just go a little bit deeper on, and the carousels are a great place to do that.
Do you recommend a more visual A plus page, or some with a little bit of text, or somebody who writes a book?
I see the argument for why some brands want to go really technical, and for some products, I still favor that. I would say for us, because we're working with mostly direct to consumer brands, so brands that have a very like beautiful aesthetic on Shopify, that type of thing, we are going full visual. We want that premium A plus content to feel like an actual native landing page from their website. So for us, that's what's worked. That's the formula that is our bread and butter. We do that every single time. It works. We don't question it. But there are certain products, highly technical products that need a lot more explaining, that maybe would still be in favor of having a little bit more text-based modules. I'm not a fan of the text-based modules because I feel like most of the text that most brands put in there are doing it to kind of increase the keyword density that's on their pages. And I feel like that you have enough space for that behind your images in the alt text. You don't need to be doing that in the customer's face when you're trying to get them to simply digest something. And I always think like I'm in favor of keeping the content as simple to digest as possible. You don't have that much time to give them to read a book. Like you have 2 seconds in some cases, less than that. Like if they're going to take away one thing and bounce, what is the thing that you need them to take away? What is the pattern interrupt? That's why that second image on your carousel should be those 3 benefits right away. And that's why in our A plus, we're actually using those 2 top banners as one big banner, because we're trying to get, our number one goal on that premium A plus is to stop the scroll, right? That's the first thing you have to do. If you don't do that, then nothing else matters. Right? If you don't stop the scroll, they're never going to digest anything else that's on that premium A plus. So it's stop the scroll, then tell them what they need to know.
Yeah. And especially, I'm not a big fan of text. I don't know if you've ever seen Burt's Bees, and what he's done or what they've done is that you go in, you see this incredible, delicious chocolate or honey image. Nothing more needs to be said. That's chocolate. That's honey. This is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's mouth watering. So you click through to it. You don't have to say anything more. I guess my last question, and you just touched on it, the search terms. So filling in the alt text in the back of the images, is that still working?
Absolutely. just to go back to your last point too, I know one of our freebies that we're giving everyone listening is our swipe file. It's basically a huge, it's got 100 different images in there of images that you can use to get inspired by. And we broke it down by the type of image in your product image stack. So you can basically look at main images. You can then look at images that are like us versus them images. You could look at images that are purely infographic images. And you can go through 100 different examples to get inspirations of how to make your images better. So be sure to check that out. And then I also have a tutorial showing you how to unlock that premium A+ completely for free. So if you listen to me, but you're not sure what to click inside of your account, that will give you the 2 videos to show you what to click to unlock that. And then when it comes to alt text, yes, we still use it. What we recommend is that you're using it for the purpose it was intended for first, which is helping people who are not visually able to see your listings. It's helping them read what's on your images. So that's important too. We can't neglect the fact that there's people that can't actually see your images. They're shopping on Amazon too. So we should be telling them what's in the images. But then beyond that, it is a place to address any additional extra keywords that weren't used in your primary content. So you don't want to neglect that. It's just a best practice to have that in there. And what we see is a lot of times brands will upload these images and they're not using the alt text at all, and that's why would you not use any real estate that Amazon's giving you?
Okay, I know that you've got to run. So how do people get a hold of you?
You can reach out to us at mindfulgoods.co. You can also see loads and loads of more examples on our website. You can see case studies from clients that have been through this process. You can go take a look at their listings, and we have mini audits on there and everything. I think we gave you a promo code, $100 off if you are not the winner of the contest today. And I think that's given next week. So make sure you drop your hashtags in there. And then I'm primarily on LinkedIn. So find me on LinkedIn, find me on YouTube, and that's where I share most of my content.
We're going to go to a commercial. We'll come back for last week's Wheel of Kelsey. I know that you have to go, so if you'd like to stick around, you can. If not, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, see you later. Okay, Kels, let's have a word from the sponsor, and then let's get back to the Wheel of Kelsey.
Start, scale, exit, repeat. I'm Colin C. Campbell, and I've started over a dozen multi-million-dollar companies in the last 30 years. I spent the last 10 years writing the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, to figure out what it is that these serial entrepreneurs do over and over again. We interviewed over 200 people. We created 58 chapters, over 30 illustrations, 180 callouts, and we quite frankly made this book for the ADHD entrepreneur. It's been #1 on Amazon in 15 categories and has won 12 awards globally. Get your book today, either on ebook, paperback, hardcover, or Audible on Amazon or your favorite bookstore.
Today's giveaway is the 60-minute one-on-one with you, actually. So it's a great prize. Is it not showing up?
Ah, there we go. There we go.
Okay, my computer is glitching a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little glitchy, but congratulations, Barry.
Yes, Barry, we're going to contact you. Congratulations, you won the one-on-one with Norm. So this was last week's prize, and we're going to be announcing Daniela's prize on next week's episode, and we'll make sure we contact you. So
now, one of the things I think we should be telling people too is if you want to enter, if you saw all those entries, they didn't come from all the live podcast last week. We've put that into our newsletter. So if you'd like to enter, you can always go to the newsletter and enter through there at lwn.news, not .com, .news. And you can be up to date with everything that we're doing. You can get a personal story, and then I turn it into a business lesson and updates from the Amazon world. All right, everybody, we will see you next week, and have a great day.
Entrepreneur.